We define a church as a group of newly saved and baptized believers meeting together regularly for worship under the leadership of a pastor. Welcome to episode number 7, which is about, is a church a building or a congregation? Because our ministry of supporting national church planners is so effective, they produce numbers that are astounding to most people and to many, unbelievable. I think the primary reason is the doubters do not really understand what a church is. In our American culture, we hear the term church and think of a building. We know that's not technically correct, but that image has become so ingrained in our minds that we even refer to the building as being God's house, knowing full well that it is not the building, but our bodies that are the temple of God. We think of a church not as worshipers, but as a place of worship, with property, having a baptistry, pews, a choir, robes optional, songbooks, even a parking lot, maybe even a sign out front, offices, a fellowship hall with a full kitchen. A church is neither a location nor a facility. It is a congregation. At Final Frontiers, we define a church as a group of newly saved and baptized believers meeting together regularly for worship under the leadership of a pastor. The Bible refers to these congregations as churches, meeting in homes. In each epistle, they have a place to meet, which is someone's house. They have a pastor or several of them to teach, guide, and care for them. And they have a people, a congregation of newly saved and baptized believers. Some churches meet in homes like this. This was taken in Kenya. The team came along, evangelized, and the owners of this house offered their house to be a place for the church to meet. This is biblical. Churches meeting in homes. Oftentimes, they build bigger buildings because they outgrow the little houses. And you may not be able to see it, but on this one, you can see you have these wooden posts, but between them are rocks being held in place by strips of wood or bamboo. In time, the rocks will go all the way up, and then they'll come and they'll plaster it so it'll look like a plastered wall. But they're still in the process of building their church building while they're doing church. And of course, all these are led by men like this. This is a brother in Uganda, and he's on top of a mountain that he and several other friends of his have a burden to reach. And he's looking out and showing Joshua Martin all the houses that you may or may not be able to see on your screen, and expressing his burden and his desire to get out and win those people to Christ and plant more churches. Now, some churches like Corinth even had backslidden and unsaved participants meeting with them, and at times even leading them. For example, the church address in 3 John had a greedy and ungodly leader, pastor, who refused the congregation to assist missionaries on their way through, and even went so far as to threaten to cast out members who did so anyway. Now, no church is perfect, because no pastor is perfect and no congregation is perfect, even if the building is. For the most part, our churches start in a home, a front porch, or under a tree. Here's a picture of a church in India, and they're literally meeting inside a little hallway in the house. Here's a church that's meeting under a tree. And again, Brother Joshua Martin, when he was out filming these things for us, he paid special attention to this man here who was a Satanist, heavily involved in Hindu paganism, but he had given his life to Christ. And he came to Josh, more or less saying, now that I've been born again, I need a new name. I need a Christian name. So Josh gave this man a Christian name. And that is so commonplace that when people get saved out of paganism, they want to take on a new name. That's why you find many people in India named Matthew and Thomas and Abraham, because they want to be named by a Bible character. In time, they may acquire the trappings of what we in America call churches. But for the most part, they'll spend their tithes supporting their pastors, caring for the needy, and evangelizing the lost. That's a New Testament church at work. And that's why worldwide in 2021, our ministry had a new convert every 16 seconds, and a new church being planted every 9 minutes and 56 seconds. That's an average of 38 new converts per every house church that our men started. And by the way, from our beginning in September 1986 to the end of 2021, our men, church planters all, had started 443,916 new house churches, each being led by a qualified pastor as they move on to start more. To God be the glory, great things He has done, and He continues to do.
I know you know, but honestly, don't you often think of the church as a building where you worship? I do. What other misconceptions might we have and pass down to our children? Might it be wiser to emphasize facilities and their costs less and evangelizing and caregiving more? How can you accomplish that in your life?
We hope you've enjoyed this episode in our Understanding the Great Commission series. If you'd like a copy of the book, it's available in paperback, audiobook, and digital download. Just click the link in the description below. Thank you for watching.